The Bermuda Triangle has long fascinated people worldwide with its tales of inexplicable disappearances and strange occurrences, but it's far from the only place on Earth with weird stuff going on. Across the globe, several locations hold their own dark reputations. Here are 4 such places that challenge our understanding of reality. The Bermuda Triangle. error or something else entirely. One fact remains. The Bermuda Triangle is an unforgiving stretch of land, a place where even the most experienced pilots can vanish without a trace.
The Silence Zone.
Pilot Francisco Sarabia had flown over countless desert landscapes in Mexico, but none had been like this. His instruments began to malfunction as his plane glided over a barren expanse of land. The compass spun aimlessly, and the altimeter flickered erratically. Then, as if an invisible force had descended upon him, his radio died. Disoriented and unnerved, Sarabia had no choice but to make an emergency landing in the middle of nowhere. He couldn't have known that this unremarkable stretch of desert would soon gain a name that conjured mystery and fear, the Zone of Silence, a place whose strange events would soon rival the legend of the Bermuda Triangle. The Zone of Silence lies 25 miles from Ceballos, Mexico, and just 400 miles south of El Paso, Texas. It is a stark, desolate land, an unforgiving desert where the sun blazes mercilessly by day, and the night brings only the cold comfort of silence. The wind whispers secrets through the sparse brush, and the earth itself seems to pulse with a hidden energy. It was here, in the 1930s, that Sarabia's plane faltered, and here that he unwittingly stumbled upon one of the world's most mysterious regions. In this place, compasses spin wildly, radios fall mute, and where even the bravest adventurers find themselves lost. Sarabia's ordeal was only the beginning. Decades later, in 1964, the Mexican state-owned oil company Pemex dispatched engineer Harry de la Peña to the area to explore the feasibility of constructing a pipeline to Jimenez, Chihuahua. But as de la Peña and his team set up camp, their radios inexplicably failed, refusing to function no matter what they tried. The engineer, intrigued and frustrated, began to investigate. He noted that the areas of radio silence seemed to shift without warning, making them impossible to map. It was de la Peña who first christened the region the Zone of Silence. He would return repeatedly, fascinated by the anomalies, trying to unravel the mysteries that had defied explanation. Yet radio silence was far from the only strange occurrence. Tales began to circulate of a peculiar trio seen roaming the zone, a blonde woman and two blonde men, their hair an unusual sight in this remote Mexican desert. Clad in clothes that seemed bizarrely inappropriate for the desert's harsh conditions, they appeared polite and attractive, fluent in Spanish, but somehow otherworldly. They would visit a local ranch, always with the same request: to fill their bottles with water. Once, when asked where they had come from, they had simply smiled enigmatically and replied, "From above." But the most inexplicable event occurred in October 1975, when two fossil hunters, Ernesto and Josefina Diaz, ventured into the zone to collect rare samples. Caught off guard by a sudden violent rainstorm, they tried to flee, their car skidding through the mud as a flash flood bore down upon them. Within minutes, the ground beneath their vehicle turned into a mire, trapping them in its grip. Just as they resigned themselves to a desperate fate, two tall, muscular men in bright yellow raincoats appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. The men promised to help, and within moments, pulled the Diaz's car to safety. But when Ernesto climbed out to thank their saviors, they had vanished, leaving only the sound of the rain and the bewildered couple behind. The mystery of the Zone of Silence deepened further in the following years. In July 1970, an Athena rocket direction. It's reality itself. The Devil's Sea. It began with a faint hum, a sound that seemed to rise from the depths of the ocean itself. On a clear September morning in 1953, the crew aboard the Japanese research vessel Kaiyo Maru No. 5 heard it, and it wasn't long before their equipment failed. The Hoya Baciu Forest. In the shadow of Transylvania's misty hills, not far from the city of Cluj-Napoca, lies a stretch of woodland that seems to defy reality itself. The Hoya Baciu Forest, known as the Bermuda Triangle of Romania, has become a beacon for those seeking paranormal encounters. Locals speak of trees with limbs twisted as if by some mystical forces, of a dead zone where nothing grows, and of people who vanish without a trace. Nestled to the west of Cluj-Napoca, the Hoya Baciu Forest appears deceptively normal at first glance, a square mile of greenery bordered by rolling hills and distant mountains. Yet, as one steps deeper into its boundaries, the forest begins to change. Trees twist and bend at odd angles, as if contorted by some otherworldly forces. The dense canopy above filters the sunlight into thin slivers, casting eerie shadows on the forest floor. The trees themselves seem alive, not with the rustling of leaves but with a more menacing energy. Their bark bears the scars of inexplicable burns, and their gnarled roots claw at the earth like skeletal fingers. It is here, in this place, that one's reality begins to slip away. Visitors to the forest often speak of an oppressive feeling, a sudden rush of anxiety that grips them as they cross its threshold. The sensation of being watched is pervasive, as if unseen eyes follow their every move. "It feels like you're not supposed to be here," one visitor remarked, describing a sense of trespass, of having crossed into forbidden territory. There are tales of shadowy figures that flutter just beyond the line of sight, flickering orbs that appear without warning, and strange laughter that emanates from everywhere and nowhere. In the forest's notorious dead zone, no plant life grows. It is a barren patch of earth, a small field surrounded by crooked, menacing trees, where electronic equipment malfunctions and compasses spin wildly. Scientists have tested the soil, hoping to find an explanation, but nothing about the earth itself seems unusual. And yet, those who stand in the clearing speak of a feeling of profound detachment, as if they have crossed some invisible boundary into the twilight zone. Stories abound of ghostly apparitions, faces appearing in photographs where none were seen before, disfigured and distorted, blooming from the very bark of the trees themselves. Paranormal investigators have recorded strange flickering lights using infrared cameras and thermal detectors, lights that produce no heat and appear without any discernible source. Even the animals, it seems, don't behave as they should. Sounds of deer hooves and the bright gleam of green eyes are reported, though no creatures can be seen. One of the more interesting stories took place in 1968, when a military technician named Emil Barnea captured a series of photographs that would become some of the most scrutinized images in UFO history. It was a sunny August afternoon when Barnea spotted a shining silver disc hovering in the sky above the forest. He snapped 4 photos before the object disappeared into the clouds. The images, published in local newspapers, sparked controversy and cost Barnea his job. Yet, no one could prove they were fake, and no plausible explanation was ever found for what he had seen. And then there are the missing. A local legend speaks of a little girl who wandered into the forest, only to emerge 5 years later, wearing the same clothes, unchanged by time, with no memory of where she had been. Another tale tells of a shepherd who entered the forest with his flock of 200 sheep, never to return. The forest, some say, swallowed them whole. But the most chilling encounter comes from a more recent investigation. The television show Destination Truth documented the violent attack on one of its crew members. She was sitting alone in a clearing when she heard strange voices. Suddenly, she saw a flash of light, and then she was thrown across the forest floor as if by an invisible force. When she stood, scratches marred her arms despite her long-sleeved shirt's thick protective fabric. In the aftermath of these encounters, various theories were proposed. Some claim the forest is a portal to another dimension, a gateway between worlds that opens and closes at will. Others say that the forest has a way of exposing what lies beneath the surface. It reflects back at you your deepest fears, your hidden desires, your darkest impulses. If you go there looking for ghosts, warned Adrian Petrut, a psychology professor who has spent decades studying the forest's mysteries. You may find more than you bargained for. So, is the Hoya Baciu forest haunted, cursed, a portal to another world? Perhaps it is all these things, or perhaps it is none. All we can say for certain is, whatever secrets the forest holds, it keeps them well hidden. So which of these places do you think are more mysterious than the Bermuda Triangle? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments section below. And if you made it this far, thanks for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again, and I hope to see you next time.